How old is old? That's what I'm thinking about. Earlier this year, I was reading an article in the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, and it talked about the presidency and the idea that Joe Biden was older when he took office than Ronald Reagan was when he left office. And of course, those of us of a certain age remember Reagan being the oldest president we've ever had, and now the two leading candidates, both the current president and Donald Trump, the former president, are going to be older than Reagan was if they're the two people that end up fighting it out for our next presidential election with things. And so that article was interesting enough, and set aside the question of, is that too old to be president? What caught my eye was this paragraph near the end of the article talking about life expectancies on a relative basis. And take a look at these numbers here. 1911 happened to be the same year my grandmother was born, same year as Ronald Reagan, and age 51 was life expectancy at that stage. Right, fast forward, you can see, to a baby born here a couple of years ago, life expectancy at 76. Think about that for a minute. Just over a century of time, life expectancy up 50%. Kind of crazy. Hard to imagine what that's going to look like going forward for our kids and grandchildren on things. And it made me pause for a couple of reasons. One is, as we think about our longevity and how we're doing our retirement planning, we need to plan for a long time down the road. And you think about, back in Reagan's day when he was a kid growing up in the teens and 20s of the last century, right? Somebody that lived to age 60 was a ripe old age. My grandfather died at age 57, and I think of that as young. I always have. And I look at this, he was born in 1909, right? He lived longer than his life expectancy on average, right? Like, holy mackerel. And then you think about, 1942, that's the life expectancy at 65, at 76. I mean, these days, somebody dies at 70 or 75, and you say, golly, they were young, right? Whereas 25, 35 years ago, we didn't say that. And how does that change and how life evolves with things? And we talk a lot about being active in retirement. Last episode, we talked about social connections and loneliness. If you haven't watched that one, we'll put a link in the show notes so you can circle back on that. And how do we be intentional about this time we have? And it is an ever-increasing time that we have here to do things and be effective and have enjoyment on that. And so just big picture, that's what it was really interesting as I thought that I wanted to share it and maybe stir some thoughts on your part. And as always, I'm interested in hearing what you're thinking. Shoot me a note in the comments section if you're watching this on YouTube, or send me an email directly. And as always, thanks for watching.